Good morning, everybody. Welcome to City Hall, welcome to Council Chambers, and welcome to a meeting of the Los Angeles City Council for today, Tuesday, September 14th, 2004. The City Council meets every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. We're as close to it as possible. Meetings are open to the public, and we do invite you to join us. For members of the public unable to attend council meetings, we can be viewed live on your cable station, Channel 35. We can also be viewed live via webcast from the city's homepage or heard via council phone. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Cardenas, Garcetti, Gruel, Hahn, Labange, Ludlow, Miskowski, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Smith, Villaraigosa, Weisstein, Padilla, 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. The council is officially in session. Members, before beginning with the matters appearing on today's agenda, this being Tuesday and the first meeting of the week, it is our custom to have our salute to the flag and a moment of inspiration. Let me recognize Councilmember Garcetti to lead us in both.
And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to be here today. I've just asked somebody to do our moment of inspiration very spontaneously, and she has very graciously agreed to go ahead and give us a few thoughts that will hopefully inspire us this week. I know that you have all been inspired by her work in the past and who she is and what she stands for, but please join me in welcoming the actor Daryl Hannah.
Good morning. Well, I guess as my moment of inspiration, I'd like to bring up the idea of perhaps protecting this beautiful city and state and our country by getting off our out-and-out addiction to that flammable goo, oil that is, and exploring our alternatives, which we have, and I personally run my vehicle on recycled French fry grease from fast food restaurants called biodiesel, otherwise known as B100 because it's 100% with no petroleum in it whatsoever, and it doesn't cause greenhouse gases and has a closed carbon loop, which means that the carbon dioxide that's emitted is the same that's consumed when the plants are grown. And then we wouldn't have to go to war for oil. So this city was sort of built around automobiles, and we can't seem to get our public transportation system to take care of our citizens as well as we would like. So since people still have to drive cars, I think it's a good thing to look into the alternatives. We have great electric vehicles and hybrids as well. So more power to them, and thank you very much.
Will you lead the Pledge of Allegiance too? Like one last one?
Okay, with you or?
Yeah, we do it together. Okay, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance together. If I can ask everybody please to rise. Place your hand over the heart. And repeat after us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's give Daryl Hannah a big hand. Thanks so much.
President, Daryl right here. Is Paige Adler your sister? Now, she's a moment of inspiration. Stand up for a second. Paige Adler led the way to build a camp for children of need in this county. So the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree, as they say. Your sister is a wonderful Angelino. With the Hole in the Wall gang, they built a camp out in North LA County. So let's salute the sisters, both Daryl Hannah and Paige Adler. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Tom, and thank you, Mr. President. It gives me great joy, colleagues, today to present to you one of the pioneers of American independent cinema and one of the handful of top artists in this country, Mr. John Sayles. Will you please give him a round of applause as he comes up? Mr. John Sayles, you know, as a screenwriter, a writer, a director, a producer, an editor of more than 15 films, and somebody who's provided valuable creative input to countless films more. With his partner, Maggie Renzi, who has produced and worked on almost every one of his movies, John Sayles has enriched American film culture through topical, insightful filmmaking. We even heard that Jack Weiss went on his first date at a John Sayles movie right here. And he examines everything from politics, race, history, and always above all, the human condition and human character. It's especially gratifying to have John here today before the City Council, but because what distinguishes his filmmaking is a quality that unfortunately is too far lacking today in American cinema. While Sayles is known for his ability to make any script more compelling, to make a thriller more thrilling, or dialogue more snappy, his own work is unique, with his attention to community, to society, to the ways that individuals' lives and fates are embedded in the context of their village or their society, whether he's showing three people on an island in Limbo or Divided Company Town in the Union drama Matewan. Sayles shows how our lives take place in communities, together, and not alone. It would take too long here today to list all the accomplishments that John has in his career and all the folks that are here with him, really supporting him and supporting an effort. But I'm pleased to announce that today, on the release of new film Silver City, which will be premiering tonight in Hollywood, John Sayles and Maggie Renzi and their spectacular cast, and I'd like to just mention who's here today. You heard, of course, from Daryl Hannah. We have Chris Cooper, Billy Zane, Thora Birch, Michael Murphy, Danny Houston, Haskell Wexler, David Clemon, Sal Lopez, Luis Saguar, and Sam Tedesco are all with us as well. That they have come here on what's called the Silver City Voter Registration Express. It's parked outside right now over there on Main Street, trying to promote civic engagement and protecting the environment. Had some nice conversations with both John and with Daryl Hannah before about how easy it is in some ways to take action, and yet how we still have a disconnect between our politics and the environment, between participation and leadership in our communities quite often, and the actual engagement that we so badly need. So I'd like to also introduce their partners in this effort. This Express has been in other cities, registering people to vote, bringing their attention to the environment and issues which are brought to bear in the film as well. But their partners in this effort, Mario Velasquez from Fuerza Latina, if you'd please be recognized. And of course, the great Sharon Lawrence of Earth Communications Office. Sharon, thank you. They are all here today on the Silver City Voter Registration Express. With that, I'd like to present this to John Sayles, this resolution on behalf of the entire city and the City Council, and hear some words of wisdom from this great creator. Thank you very much.
Yes, I'd like to thank Eric and the Los Angeles City Council. It's a great honor. There were times when I couldn't get arrested in this town. Los Angeles is one of the great cities of the world, and it's one of the most ethnically diverse cities in the world. I always feel like our UN ambassadors should be forced to work here for about 6 months before they go on to the United Nations. Los Angeles is also a city of many artists. They work in theater, music, graphic arts, dance, and they're often the people who build the first bridges between ethnic groups, between classes. They're also the first people who often are the ones to set up a hue and cry when some of our communities are in trouble. We make movies. I'm not a Hollywood filmmaker, although I do come out here as a screenwriter very often. And one of the main things that we try to do with our movies is have them be entertaining, have them be, enjoyable and interesting, but also have something about real life in them to deal with the things that are going on in the country and help the cultural conversation. Democracy is a conversation between the governed and the people who they vote for to represent them, and sometimes that conversation gets a little one-sided. And one of the things that we're trying to do with Silver City and other movies is make that a more complete and more inclusive conversation. We're going to be going around today in our bus and kind of sprinkling local activists around like Johnny Appleseed, leaving them to register people to vote. And once again, I'd like to thank you for your support and your helping us get some focus on this effort.
And just in closing, I forgot to mention probably the most important thing, which is today in Los Angeles, we have declared this to be John Sayles Day. Congratulations, congratulations to the entire cast, and we wish you the best.
Mr. LaBonge.
Hey, John, congratulations to you. and everyone who's on that bus. But Haskell Wexler, stand up. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the greatest cinematographers, one of the greatest cameramen of all time. And we talk about, you know, getting people and registering people to vote and getting them involved. Your movie, Bound for Glory, and the way you photographed it, all Americans from Maine to California, from Washington to Florida to see again, because it truly talks of Woody Guthrie and all of the history of really, which is about the great struggles of the 20s and 30s that led us to the 40s and 50s, and it's always a struggle, but it's something that we always got to fight for, and getting people to vote is the most important thing. Mr. Garcetti, thank you, and I want you all to know on that bus that Eric is a Rhodes Scholar, and I kid him a little about that, because he's not just from San Fernando Road, he truly is an honored man. Give Eric Garcetti a great hand on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti. For our next presentation, let me recognize Councilmember Zine.
We're all getting our pictures taken.
Thank you, Mr. President. And as we bring order back to the chamber, this is Deaf Awareness Month, and I have a presentation to make to Louise Solka. Louise, if you'll please come forward with your husband, who's standing with you. Where is he? Come on. Oh, you want to take pictures? Well, come on. We'll get you on camera, then you can go back. You took the time to come down with your wonderful wife. We should get you here on camera. Louise Solka and her husband, Rocky. Thank you, Rocky. Now go take pictures. I'm just kidding. You can stay. Sign language interpreter coordinator at Pierce College. Louise has been coordinating the interpreting services at Pierce College for the past 9.5 years. She is a 1985 graduate of the interpreter training program at Pierce College. She's nationally certified by the Register of Interpreters for the Deaf, holding both a Certificate of Interpretation and Certificate of Transliteration. Completed her studies and received her BA in Deaf Studies from California State University next fall. Married to Rocky and has 2 daughters, ages 5 and 7, and their names are? Allison and Jessica. She used to live in the San Fernando Valley and moved west to the Simi Valley. Also, she volunteers at her daughter's schools teaching the students and teachers sign language. And I'm pleased, on behalf of the City Council, to present to you the recognition of your service to the people of Los Angeles, your dedication of heart and hand to the needs of friends, neighbors, and fellow members of our society. This certificate is a measure of your devotion of service to the people for Deaf Awareness Month, September 14th, 2004. Louise, congratulations. And we can applaud Louise for her wonderful efforts. And Rocky for being there with her and the family. And the microphones for some comments.
Thank you very much for the honor.
You're very welcome for the honor. Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zine. And members of the council, I know all of us have a special presentation as part of Deaf Awareness Month, but let us, if we can, wait for Mr. Cardenas to facilitate the series of presentations we have. We do have a couple of other more urgent presentations, and then I do want to dispense with consent items and then return to the presentations. For our next presentation, let me recognize Councilmember Weiss.
up, everybody. Come on. Ladies, right here. Thank you very much, Mr. President, colleagues. This is an extraordinary group of people that I'm standing here with, and in a few moments you're going to hear their stories. We are very privileged in this city to be home to not just a city class or state class or national class, just a world-class institution, the Simon Wiesenthal Center, which does some of the most important human rights work that has ever been done on the planet. The Simon Wiesenthal Center, it is an ecumenical body that reaches out throughout the globe to find human rights abuses, to put the spotlight on human rights abusers, and to put an end to them. And the Simon Wiesenthal Center yesterday hosted an extraordinary conference on the horrible abuses in the area of human rights in North Korea. Our mayor was there. You might have seen the article in the Los Angeles Times this morning. And it was an extraordinary and historic conference, and they will continue to do everything they can to put this issue of the extraordinary levels of degradation of man's inhumanity to man that is occurring right now in North Korea. To tell us a little bit more about the Simon Wiesenthal Center's efforts in this area and about who we have with us. And folks, so you know, we have refugees here from North Korea, people who have been abused by that horrible dictatorship regime in North Korea. We have them here with us to tell us more about them and their stories. Is the Associate Dean of the Simon Wiesenthal Center and my very good friend, Rabbi Abraham Cooper. Rabbi Cooper.
Good morning. Thank you, Councilman Weiss. And first of all, on behalf of everyone at the Wiesenthal Center, I'd like to wish everyone in this building a Shana Tova, a happy and healthy New Year. The Jewish New Year begins Wednesday night. We are here with a group of individuals who have suffered in the North Korean Gulag, in southern China, the types of human rights abuses we have not learned about since the end of the Second World War. We had an incredibly powerful time yesterday listening, putting a human face on the terrible tragedy, an unnecessary tragedy of the North Korean people. And it was over at the Museum of Tolerance. I also think that it's a good idea for us to pause for a moment because we take everything about this building for granted. When a North Korean citizen is brought to a place of power, it means it's the end of the line. In North Korea, when you come to a hotel room, they have a unique kind of radio. It's got one button, on and off. So for these refugees who've shown great courage to identify themselves publicly, to come to the seat of power of our city, here, this is the chamber of the people, by the people and for the people. So I think it's also a great empowerment for them. And if I can allow or ask everyone in the chambers just to take a moment, I'm going to ask a great human rights leader from Washington, Suzanne Schulte, to take a moment and introduce each of these heroic individuals. Suzanne?
You know, for many years we suspected that there were horrible abuses occurring in North Korea. And it wasn't until refugees started to flee that regime that we found the horrible truth that we suspected was true. The defectors that are with me represent the two horrors that are going on in North Korea. They represent survivors of the political prisoner camps where at least 200,000 people are imprisoned for such crimes as listening to a foreign radio broadcast, believing in God, or not properly bowing before Kim Jong-il's statue. The other group of defectors represent refugees that have fled into China, that have suffered horrible human rights abuses, women that have been trafficked, women that have been in hiding trying to flee from the Chinese police because the Chinese do not recognize them as political refugees and repatriate them to North Korea, where they can be imprisoned and executed for the crime of leaving the country. I'd like to briefly introduce each of the witnesses that came forward. It's because of the bravery of these men and women that we know about the human rights situation in North Korea. First, Soon-ok Lee. She was a survivor of the political prisoner camps in North Korea, tortured and abused for a year and a half for not confessing to a crime that she didn't commit. She was a prisoner in Gaechon Penitentiary along with 6,000 women. Most of them were housewives who'd complained about the food situation in North Korea during the famine, and that was a crime against the state. Another survivor, by the way, her picture was in the LA Times today. Another survivor of the political prisoner camps, Kim Young. He's a Los Angeles native now, or Los Angeles citizen now. He was a survivor of the political prisoner camps. He was imprisoned. He was orphaned, but he was imprisoned when the state found out that his father had been accused of spying and executed. And because they found out that his father had committed a crime, they put him in a political prisoner camp. This is Kim Young. An Hyok. An Hyok was put in a political prisoner camp for the crime of taking a trip to China. And since it's a crime against the state to leave the country, he was put in a concentration camp known as Yodak. And he's the founder of the Democracy Network Against the North Korean Gulag, An Hyok. Deng Chal Choi. Because Deng Chal Choi's mother was convicted of a crime, his mother Sunok Lee, he was sent to a labor camp, a tobacco farm to work. He is the U.S. representative of the Democracy Network Against the North Korean Gulag, Deng Chal Choi. Our next defectors are women who suffered horrible abuse in China when they escaped North Korea, some with their families. I'm going to introduce each one of them. The first is Nanny Byon. Nanny Byon had to hide from the Chinese police for several years when she was trying to survive because her family was starving to death. Her brother was executed because he had taken a trip to China, and she finally made it to South Korea in the year 2002, and some of her members of her family, her older sister, she doesn't know what happened to her older sister. Her older sister was sold into sexual slavery in China. Nanny Byon. Ji Ha-nam was put in a political prisoner camp for the crime of singing a South Korean song. She was beaten and tortured in the camp. When she was released, she fled to China, where she was a victim of sexual trafficking until she finally escaped to South Korea. Ji Ha-nam. Oh Young-hui was a gymnast who competed in the Olympic competition in Hong Kong. She was also a member of Kim Jong-il's Joy Team, and then she was a coach for the synchronized North Korean Olympics gymnastic team. She escaped with her husband and 2 children into China, had to hide as a refugee from the Chinese police, had a horrible experience. She was the only one that was able to work in her family. She was trying to support her family. She had to lock her children in a room when she went to work so the Chinese police wouldn't find them. When she came home from work one day, they were gone, and she found out they'd been seized by the Chinese police, but she begged them to release her children, and she and her husband finally were able to defect to South Korea in 2002. Oh Young-hui. I want to thank the Simon Wiesenthal Center for hosting the conference on North Korea human rights because of their dedication to stopping the suffering that's happening in any place of the world. I also want to thank the Los Angeles mayor for declaring yesterday North Korea Human Rights Day. Thank you very much.
If we can also hear from Councilmember Villaraigosa.
First of all, let me thank Jack Weiss for bringing these people here today. Let me say to the refugees, hearing your story, I think all of us are a bit traumatized by the pain that you've had to go through, and the least we could do anywhere in the world, those of us who are witness to these atrocities, is to get the answers, to shed the light, to ensure that North Korea is accountable for these atrocities. And so thank you for being here and having the courage to be here today. And I want to thank, first of all, say Shana Tova to Rabbi Cooper and the Simon Wiesenthal Center, those of us who have supported this center over the years in the way that I have done so, because this center is not just a center that addresses the Holocaust, but all of the tragedies that have occurred and the genocides that have occurred in the world over the years. And your willingness to shed some light on this very important issue of the gassing of North Koreans is very important in these times. To the extent that we uncover and expose any government that would do this kind of thing, the world is better and safer and more humane. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you give this to the... Yeah. Okay, great.
Mr. President, maybe you should recognize Mr. Cardenas to get us started.
Okay, but what I'd like to do first, and I know that's a significant and lengthy presentation, members, unless there's an objection, I'd like to go through the agenda and dispense with consent items, and then return to presentations and recognize Mr. Cardenas next. Madam Clerk, first order of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Smith moves and Mr. Ludlow seconds.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Ms. Hahn moves and Mr. Park seconds.
On the regular agenda, Mr. President, items for which public hearings have been held, items 1 through 9. Items 1, 2, 3, and 4 are confirmations of city officials, and reports are in the process of being submitted. Do you wish to hold those on the desk?
Let's first of all recognize that I do not have requests from members of the public to address the council on items 1 through 9. Public hearings are open and closed. Items 1 through 4, let's hold temporarily on the desk as we do await those reports to be distributed, and these will be the first items we take up once we get to items called special. On items 5 through 9, members, do we have any requests for specials? Ms. Hahn.
Special, please.
8 call special by Ms. Hahn. Any other specials on items 5 through 9? Seeing none, let's open the roll on those items, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Those are approved. Next item. We would like to call 6 special? Okay. Let's open the roll on reconsideration of item number 6. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Okay.
Just
item
a
6 is
technical
reconsidered.
amendment, that's all.
Well, if you have a technical amendment, let's go ahead and do that now. Want to read it in?
Technical amendment on the matter of item number 6. It was a motion. Move that we recommend that be amended to authorize the controller to establish new accounts for the appropriate funds within the area plan for the Aging Title III Fund number 395 as listed.
Okay, with that technical amendment, unless there's any additional discussion on this item, let's open the roll on item 6 as amended.
Thank you.
Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Okay, that is approved.
Thank you, members.
Next items, please.
Next items for which public hearings have not been held, items 10 through 52. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Members, items 10 through 52 now before us. I do have cards on item 48. We'll call that special. And I know there's a lot of city employees here to speak on that item. We'll take that up
And
as
Mr.
early as
President,
we can as possible.
I understand on item number 28, there's an amending motion that's in the process.
Okay, let's hold that temporarily on the desk as we await that amending motion. Mr. Zein?
Mr. President, item 48, we're trying to get some speakers on behalf of that and move that up on the calendar if we could.
Okay, we still have a few minutes to go, so if we can get a couple of speakers on behalf of the entire group, that would be very much appreciated. Do we also have a request to refer item 50 to the Rules Committee?
Yes, and also item number 47, I believe there's a request.
To Rules Committee as well. Members, without objection, those items are so referred. Any requests for specials? Ms. Misikowski.
Mr. President, item 10 is also technical. It's an ordinance. The city attorney has the language to add the language in the ordinance from sunrise to sunset for this the dog park designation.
Okay, we'll consider items 10 and 28 as amended without objection. Ms. Hahn?
I realized we didn't, I was hoping to hear from Councilman Villagrosa on item 9 about, did we just slip that through on consent?
Okay, let's come back to a reconsideration question. After voting on items 10 through 52, members with only cards on 48 will call that special. On the balance of the items, we do not have requests from members of the public. Public hearings are open and closed. Items 47 and 50 have been referred to the Rules Committee. 10 and 28 do have amending motions, technical in nature. Without objection, let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
All those items are approved.
Yeah, Mr. President.
Mr. Labange.
22, 23, and 51 forthwith, please.
22, 23, and 51 forthwith. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Mr. President, do you wish to take up public comment at this time or hold that on the desk?
Let's hold that on the desk and return at this time to the presentation segment of our meeting. We recognize Councilmember Cardenas.
Thank you very much, Council President and members. Today we're going to be announcing a wonderful opportunity for the City of Los Angeles. We're announcing Deaf Awareness Month. This gives us as a community, as a city, to recognize how alike we are and also to recognize how beautiful our differences are. As I mentioned earlier to a group of young people when I thanked them for coming, people from the deaf community, I reminded them that sometimes if we take note, if you're watching children play, for example, you might see a child who's deaf or hard of hearing. Yet when they're playing, their smile is as loud as any sound you've ever heard. When we look at each other, work with each other, and do things together, we don't take enough opportunity to recognize how different we are, yet how much we are the same, and how much we depend on each other. The deaf community is as much a part of this community as any community here in Los Angeles. If you look around the room today, we have interpreters. They're speaking another language other than English. Yet at the same time, some of us can recall, as little children, like myself, having to interpret for our parents who came to this country for a better opportunity, not so much for themselves, but for the next generation. Deaf Awareness Month is an opportunity for us to look to today, yesterday, and tomorrow and recognize that we live in a beautiful city, a diverse city, and that we have opportunities to share in that diversity, and even with the deaf and hard of hearing community. I'd like to today take the opportunity to recognize a couple of organizations, a couple of groups of people who are doing wonderful things in the deaf community and for the community at large. For example, I'd like to start off by explaining a man's dream, and that dream has become a reality and has now made a difference in the lives of thousands of individuals and for thousands of families. And I'm talking about the California School for the Deaf in Riverside. The school was opened on February 9th, 1953, with about 50 lower grade children enrolled. The school was founded by Perry E. Seeley, a deaf man who saw the need for a deaf school in California. The school currently has approximately 480 students enrolled in elementary and all the way through high school. The school has day and residential deaf children from all over the state of California. And they encourage these young people to participate and to grow in any way that they choose to. For example, the first group that I would like to recognize today is the girls' softball team and their coaches of the California School for the Deaf in Riverside for winning the fourth annual Holy Classic softball tournament at Washington, D.C. against 4 other deaf schools in the nation. The OI tournament was created, come forward. The OI tournament was created to promote awareness of the career and achievements of William Ellsworth Dumais Oy, who was alive from 1862 to 1961, 99 years, the first deaf Major League Baseball player. The softball team went and they conquered. And today we honor them for their achievements and their accomplishments. And then get ready, because I'm going to ask one of you to come forward and speak to us, to express yourselves. Do we have the certificates? Okay. The certificates are to each members of the softball team and their coaches. And at this time, I'd like one of their coaches to come forward and say a few words.
I want to thank you very much, everybody here, for inviting us and recognizing us and being recognized by the City of LA. It's really an honor to be here, and we're very proud. Thank you.
Congratulations. Once again, we're all the same. I bet you if any of us want to put a team together, we can't beat them. I'll put money on that. In addition, I'd like to also recognize, right, Mr. LaBanche? In addition, I'd like to recognize Goodwill Industries of Southern California, for they have a California Deaf Training and Employment Center in which they train people and also work with organizations like the City of Los Angeles to bring awareness to the deaf community about the services available to all of the community of Los Angeles. Most recently, for example, they took a tour of constituents in the disabled community through the Los Angeles Police Department's 911 Communications Center. The 311 non-emergency government services was explained to them, and other government services as well. The Goodwill Industries of Southern California Deaf Training and Employment Center, we'd like to thank them for their continuing achievements and long-standing commitment to the diverse community of persons who are deaf, hard of hearing, and late deafened in the city of Los Angeles. Also, before I introduce my other colleagues who'd like to recognize their honorees, I'd like to remind us all that on the 18th of September, if you look at this flyer and you've seen it around, we're having a Deaf Awareness Festival in the San Fernando Valley at Woodley Lake at 6350 Woodley Avenue, otherwise known as the Sepulveda Basin. It's going to be going on all day from 12 noon to 6 p.m. There's going to be opportunities for people to understand services specifically for the deaf community, but also for services in general. It's going to be a great opportunity for us to get together as a community and also get to know each other better and to understand each other better. With that, I'd like to give this opportunity for presentation to Councilman Bernard Parks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Tony Cardenas. I appreciate the opportunity to be involved with this celebration of Deaf Awareness Month. Today, we want to honor a school in the 8th District, and I'd ask the principal, Nancy Huerta, also the technical crew director, Salvatore Scalaro, and also the drama instructor and play director, Wanda LaCruz. The three of them to come up. And the reason that we're honoring them is that they are the only day school for the deaf in the LA Unified School District. They participate in a number of worthwhile celebrations in recognition of their positive and valuable contribution. Having attended their graduation, it is a sight to behold to see how they participate in their skits and how they are, many of them are on their way to four-year major colleges. And so we wanted to say to the instructors here, and they brought with them 39 members that are drama students. And I'd like to ask the drama students to stand up at this time so they could be recognized. And so we'd just like to let you know that we've also given them each individual certificates for their achievements, particularly in the drama area. And I'd like to ask the principal to come up and make a couple of comments at this time.
Good morning, and we are very excited and honored again to be here with you. I bring two wonderful staff members along with our great students, Wanda LaCour, who is our drama instructor and director, and Sel, who is in charge of our technical crew. Without them, none of this would be possible. A big applause. Thank you. We appreciate all of your support. And before we end, I would like to ask our president of our student council, Gustavo Estrada, to come forward. He has an announcement.
We thank you very much for helping our school. And also, our school has a gift for you.
Our certificate reads, Marlton School declares Bernard Parks our guardian angel who watches over the Marlton Eagles of Los Angeles this 14th day of September 2004. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Parks. Next, we have a presentation from Councilmember Wendy Gruhl.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Mr. Cardenas, for your staff's work and picking up the ball on this effort on the Deaf Awareness Month and how important it is. Colleagues, I'm so happy that I have in my district a school that is very special. Saticoy Elementary School, which is located in North Hollywood, is one of the few schools in the Los Angeles Unified School District that offers the unique deaf and hard of hearing oral program. It is unique in the sense that the students at Saticoy, who range in age from 3 to 11, are trained in oral communication rather than in sign language. Their focus, again, is primarily oral communication, and the program has been in existence for over 26 years. Students that are in this environment and the least restrictive environment allows them to achieve the maximum level of empowerment and independence and educational and social level. Saticoy enjoys a very highly trained staff and dedicated staff to the students at the school, and have been working very close with them over, not all of them over the last 26 years, but for many years. This is our opportunity, colleagues, today to honor programs in each of our districts that recognize the beauty and the importance of providing services to the deaf community and to ensure that they get equal access to all of the programs. And I think at Saticoy Elementary School we have an example of dedicated administrators and teachers who have made that possible to ensure that we provide the services. So I'd like to present certificates to several individuals at Saticoy Elementary School who have made this program possible. I think the first one is the principal, Kyla Hinson. Kyla? She's not here. She's not here. Okay, thank you. Thank you, except on her behalf. Abby McBride, who is a teacher of the deaf and hard of hearing oral program. Great. Thank you. Kelly Nakasuji. Thank you. You're very welcome. Dana Manjiri? Manjiri, okay. Thank you. Nice to meet you. That's even harder than gruel, which most people have a hard time pronouncing. Debbie Lutz. And you must be Theana Kezios? Kezios, okay. And Theana Kezios. Thank you. Let's give a great round of applause for this wonderful program and my district and the services that they provide. Thank you.
Standing in for the principal there is Assistant Principal Rosalinda Cardenas, and yes, there is a relationship. She's my sister-in-law. And Jack Weiss already, was Jack Weiss going to do his presentation? Okay, we'll go to now Janice Hahn. You ready?
Come on up. Thank you very much, and I'm very pleased to also be a part of this Deaf Awareness Month celebration. It's always very important. Again, I think I mentioned this last year, but one of the most gratifying moments I had in my professional career was I was the marketing director at the newly opened Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Plaza. I believe it was 1988, and it was the first holiday celebration we had. It was my job to hire the Santas that would be there during the holiday. And since Marlton School was within walking distance of the plaza, I worked very hard to find a Santa that could sign. And many of the parents of those children said it was one of the first times that they were able to have their children talk to Santa, so that Santa could hear them and convey their wishes. So it was a very special moment for me. Today, I thought it was a great opportunity to highlight the Lions Club, because many people associate the Lions Club with making sure that people have glasses and they do screening for eye problems. But the Lions Club also sponsors regional mobile hearing screening units. And they take these vans to schools, to picnics, to festivals, to parades. Anywhere there's a crowd, the Lions Club takes this mobile hearing unit so that they can begin looking for, particularly for children who have are hearing impaired and may not know that they have that problem. And today I've brought into the council Charlie Rico and Frank Herrera of the Wilmington Lions Club to highlight the fact that they have screened probably 100 to 200 people at each event that they sponsor the hearing screening unit. They've taken this to the Harbor College Health Fair, the Wilmington Family Picnic, the Holy Family Church, Hawaiian Avenue Elementary School, and every year it's at our Wilmington Holiday Parade. So I wanted to take this opportunity to say the Lions Club, and particularly the Wilmington Lions Club, really makes this part of their mission to provide hearing screening for people. And I know they probably have stories out there where they were able to help a child who may not have known that they had this problem. I'd like to present Charlie and Frank this certificate of honor, and I know one of you or both of you wants to say something very quickly.
Thank you. I want to thank this beautiful lady right next to me, our Councilwoman Janice Hahn, for giving us this presentation. I want to just talk just a little bit about our mobile screening unit. We have Alliance International, that we have a district here that is 4L3. It is composed of 54 clubs with about 1,500 members, and we do share this mobile screening unit. The mobile screening unit, we do check for eye acuity, glaucoma, and then also we have inside a booth for the hearing check. And what if we do find any problems with the individual's hearing, we either refer them to their own doctor or give them a list as to what the finding was. And if they can't afford to pay, we try to manage to, for the Lions to get together and donate anything that is wrong with their hearing. In fact, we also collect used hearing aids. This way we can refurbish them and give them out to different countries. And not only here in the United States, but we give them to countries like Peru, Philippines, Mexico. So we do quite a bit of that as far as the hearing is composed. Now I think Charlie has has a little story to tell about a hearing person.
Thank you for the privilege to be here today for the Deaf Awareness dedication. And I do have a success story that I'd like to tell. Every year we're invited to what is called the Love Clinic in Los Angeles. They're on 35th and Broadway. It's not the type of clinic that it incites. It means low vision care. And the success story that's told in there by the doctors that treat the interns is a story about a little girl, 11 years old, who was not doing too well in school. And it happened that she happened to be tested. And her academics were not too strong, so that they decided that they would test her for vision. She was tested for vision, and they found out that she couldn't see. She would always sit at the back of the class and was unable to see what was going on at the front of the class, where the instructor would deal with visuals or describe something on the chalkboard. So they came to find out that she didn't have good vision. So the Lions Club got together with the family and they purchased her a pair of glasses. Well, she was able to get the glasses and she returned to school. And then again, she was not doing too well. Well, they came to find out that she couldn't hear. So the Lions Club got together, they took her to a clinic, they provided the examination for her hearing, and she was given a hearing aid. And to this day, I think that that little girl is probably doing a lot better in school. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Once again, this is Deaf Awareness Month, and that's a perfect example of the hand of caring and giving, reaching not only throughout the community of Los Angeles, but throughout the world. Now we have a presentation by Jack Weiss, Councilman Jack Weiss.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Cardenas, and thank you for your extraordinary commitment to this issue, as you've demonstrated this morning. It's really it's a very impressive group of people we've been honoring, and I'm very proud to be honoring the impressive group of people standing with me. These are the folks from the Deaf and Disabled Services Division of LACAW, the Los Angeles Commission on Assaults Against Women. We're here with Patty Giggins, who's the Executive Director of LACAW, Valerie Stern, the Program Coordinator, Peggy Reyna, the Project Director, KJ McCune, a Counselor Advocate, and Veronica Rivera, the Director of Training and Education. The reality is that people with disabilities and people who suffer from hearing impairment are at a higher risk of being abused, of being sexually abused, and of being assaulted, oftentimes by those close to them, by people who know them. Women with disabilities are raped and abused at a rate of at least twice that of the general population. And sexual violence against people with disabilities is oftentimes even more unreported and underreported than sexual violence generally in our society. That's where LACAW and their Deaf and Disabled Services Program comes in. The program was created in 1987 when LACAW first offered self-defense training for women who were deaf or hard of hearing, and since then it's grown into counseling services, crisis intervention services, and even more. In 2003, this program intervened in more than 500 cases of sexual and domestic violence. It's also, folks at LACAW also created the Deaf Kids Self-Defense and Safety Project well over a decade ago. It is an extraordinary program. I'm very proud of the work they do, and I'm very proud to call them my friends. And let's hear from Patty Giggins, who, if we hadn't had Mr. Garcetti summoned this morning to provide a moment of inspiration, I was going to race over and say, we have Patty Giggins here, who can who can see that moment of inspiration and raise it. Patty Giggins.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jack, for honoring our program today. And it is really wonderful to be here to see all the other programs, the schools, the teams, the deaf community out in force today in our city. And I just think it's wonderful. We now have a whole month to acknowledge the growing empowerment of the deaf community in Los Angeles. Our program was started by deaf women 17 years ago. We've been in business for 33 years now in terms of dealing with sexual and domestic violence. But 17 years ago, a group of deaf women came to LACAW and said, we need help. We want you to provide services to deaf women and their families. And I said to them, well, we're a hearing organization. We are not a deaf organization. And they said, we want LACAW to develop a program because some of these issues are not discussed in the deaf community. And sometimes you have to go out of your own community to build the programs that are going to help that same community. And that's what we did. And behind me are the people right on the front lines, this staff, this incredible staff, Peggy and KJ and Veronica and Valerie. This program is the fastest growing program at LACAW. And that's part of it is because of the awareness that is happening. I really want to thank the council and Councilmember Cardenas for really bringing this forth today. But I'd like to just take 1 minute and introduce Peggy Reyna, who has been, our program's been started 17 years ago, and she's been leading it for 15 years. Peggy Reyna.
Thank you. Thank you, Patty, and thank you, Councilmember. And we're just delighted to be recognized by the City of Los Angeles. I would like to say that many years ago, actually in 1991, was the first time LACAW's Deaf and Disabled Services program was honored by the Los Angeles City Council. At that time, Mayor Bradley was the person who presented us with the proclamation. I'm just really thrilled to say that in those 17 years, literally thousands of women who were deaf, hard of hearing, or who had other disabilities have come to LACAW for counseling, legal assistance to get restraining orders, just to come together and have parenting classes and learn how to raise nonviolent children. Our program has been there and is now one of the leading model programs in the world. We're really pleased to be a part of LACAW. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We now have Councilmember Ludlow for a presentation.
Good morning, colleagues. First of all, thank you, Councilmember Tony Cardenas. All of us applaud you for your effort and have been moved by the comments this morning and many of the honorees and their stories. And this has just been a very uplifting morning for all of us here in City Hall. I am here today to honor Charles Nero. At 77 years of age, Mr. Nero has triumphed during his life. Mr. Nero lost his ability to hear at the early age of 1 due to a bout with mumps. When Mr. Nero lost his hearing, he has never let that set him or hold him back. He went on to lead a very productive and full life. He has been married for over 50 years to his lovely wife, who's here with us today, with whom he has had 3 successful children, of which he is very proud. He supported his family through long-term employment at a computer communications company as an assembler of mainframe systems. Mr. Nero raised his children and grandchildren to strive to do their best as he has. He taught them each sign language. He helped each one of them with their homework. He would drive them to and from their destinations and being generally supportive of his family. But he didn't stop there. In addition to achieving success in raising his children and his grandchildren, Mr. Nero has extended himself through volunteering with Big Brothers Big Sisters of Greater Los Angeles and has raised a hearing-impaired foster child. What an inspiration to each and every one of us raising our own children. If we think we have difficult times, his leadership and example really does rise above the call of duty. Mr. Nero, in addition to raising his family, in addition to keeping his own career, in addition to volunteering with Big Sisters, Big Brothers, and raising a hearing-impaired foster child, he has also been a longstanding member of the Deaf Advocates Los Angeles chapter, the organization which aims to promote the educational, cultural, and social and economic advancement of deaf and hard of hearing individuals. Not only has he been active with them, he has served as their president, vice president, corresponding secretary, and also the treasurer, all at different times in his tenure with that organization. Mr. Nero is a remarkable man who deserves to be honored during Deaf Awareness Month, not just because he is deaf, but because he has led an amazing life and has not let this challenge stop him from achieving greatness. And so on behalf of the city of Los Angeles, I wanted to extend this certificate of appreciation to Mr. Nero, and would like to ask him to come forward and bring greetings and comments as well, as I know one of the signers is going to assist us. Mr. Nero.
Hello? 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 Okay. I'm very proud to be here, and I was thinking, this is my first time here, and I'm so happy that all of you are here and that God has me here. I feel very grateful to Jesus, and thank you all very much.
And I'm going to see if I can do this. I believe it's congratulations and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can you go back and take a photo? Yes.
Next we have Council President Alex Padilla for a presentation.
Thank you, Councilmember Cardenas. Again, as all of our colleagues have recognized your leadership on this issue and in this presentation, members of the council, members of the public, it's my pleasure to recognize David Rose as part of our Deaf Awareness Month recognition ceremony. He was originally born in Cleveland, Ohio, and moved to Granada Hills. He was a constituent of yours for a while, Mr. Smith, in 1969. Graduated from Birmingham High School, because I knew Tom LaBonge was going to ask. And he currently resides in Covina with his lovely family. But the reason I selected him as the 7th Council District honoree today is because of his work and ministry at Mary Immaculate Church, which is in my district, in Pacoima now for the last 3 years, where he's done a tremendous job of not only serving the deaf and hearing impaired parishioners at that church, but has also gone beyond those needs in serving them and their families, and is working hard to expand those services and those ministry services to a number of other churches in my district and throughout the San Fernando Valley. So certainly going above and beyond the call of duty, wanted to thank you, Mr. Rose, and present you with this certificate of appreciation.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I want to thank the council president, Mr. Padilla, Councilman Padilla, for including the deaf community here today. And I would, on behalf of the Holy Angels Church for the Deaf and the deaf Catholic community, especially within the San Fernando Valley and within the District 7, we would all like to thank you for recognizing us and for presenting us with this proclamation. As we work within the deaf community, we work for peace, for the world, and I want to thank you all very much. Thank you.
Thank you and congratulations. I'd like to give an opportunity for, I'd like to bring a representative from Goodwill Industries up and give her an opportunity to tell us a little bit more about what they're doing and the wonderful work that they've been doing over the years and they're continuing to do.
Yes, Council and all the Friends of Los Angeles, I want to thank you for recognizing us. And it was a big surprise for us because 2 years ago we came here and the instructor in the Bay Area came here and was working with trying to establish a program. Also with Richard Ray, for many years we've been contacting him to bring our students here so that we can visit the grounds of the local government and have a tour. And we really fell in love with the idea of the tour, so we decided to contact him again. So he allowed us to come here, and we weren't expecting to get this wonderful certificate. So I wanted to let you know that the Deaf Training and Employment Center is a program that these students come in very frustrated, very having communication barriers and having a very negative impression of the system. But once they get into the program, it's a 3 to 6 month program, and they have a very positive attitude. And I wanted to introduce the students here that are involved in the program. So thank you very much for recognizing us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we have Councilmember Greg Smith for a presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cardenas. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. We in the San Fernando Valley are very proud of California State University, our university in the Valley. But more importantly, what a lot of people don't know is that Cal State Northridge, CSUN, is nationally known, not just locally known, but nationally known as one of the finest education institutions when it comes to education of the deaf and as well as the physically handicapped. And so I'm very pleased to have with us today Dr. Lawrence or Larry Fleischer, who is the chairman of the Deaf Studies Department at CSUN, which he's been affiliated with since 1972. He also teaches courses in the areas of American Sign Language and deaf culture. Prior to joining the staff at CSUN, he taught mathematics at Gallaudet University in Washington, D.C. from 1967 until 1970. Dr. Fleischer received his bachelor's degree from Gallaudet, 2 master's degrees in special education, administration, and supervision from CSUN, and a doctor's degree of administration and education from Brigham Young University. Dr. Fleischer is very active nationally in a number of professional organizations. The Council on Education of the Deaf in the United States, Deaf Sports Federation, and the American Sign Language Teacher Association. Dr. Fleischer served as chairperson of the Community Services for the Deaf here locally, a member of the Board of Directors of the Greater Los Angeles Council on Deafness, in which he was served as president for 8 years, and of the Far West Athletic Association on the Deaf. I'm very proud that we have Dr. Fleischer here from Cal State Northridge, the fabulous program that they have at Northridge, and we want to go on record of recognizing his leadership, not just here at Northridge, not just here in California, but nationally in service to education of the deaf community. Dr. Fleischer, thank you so much for all you have done.
Also, this was a big surprise to get recognized today, so I'm very, very surprised. But the most important thing is about CSUN is to get out and serve the deaf community in Los Angeles and make this area the best, the #1 for deaf people. So thank you so much again for the surprise.
One moment.
I've had the privilege and the honor to work with Dr. Fleischer, and I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank Berta Velasquez from my staff, whose daughter was here today. She's on the softball team. And once again, we're having the Deaf Festival this Saturday from 12 to 6 in the San Fernando Valley at the Sepulveda Basin. And Dr. Fleischer and Cal State University Northridge are an integral part of putting this event on, and we hope and expect that this will be an annual event between the City of Los Angeles, the community of Los Angeles, and the community over at Cal State University Northridge. Once again, I'd like to thank you, colleagues, Mr. President or Madam President at this moment, and the community of Los Angeles for watching us and looking into what's going on today, which is we're talking about deaf awareness. And as you saw today, a bunch of beautiful, wonderful people, very giving people, proving and showing that communication is done in so many different ways, whether you're a group of women or whether you're a school or whether you're a person who's a doctorate degrees and master degrees from all over the state, this country. You can come together and give to the wonderful community at large, but specifically to prove to people that the deaf community is equally a part of the community as any other. So thank you very much, colleagues, and congratulations to all of you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Cardenas, for your leadership and your staff on this issue, and appreciate all the participants today. Colleagues, we are down to 10 members, so we would ask that you all stay for us to be able to complete business this morning. Madam City Clerk, our next item.
Next item, Madam President, there are commissioners to be confirmed. Items 1 and 2 are confirmations of Ms. Evelyn Castillo and Ms. Marta Sanchez to the Commission on Children, Youth, and Their Families. Committee report has been submitted recommending approval.
Great, thank you very much. If both the commissioners would like to come to the front table, please. Are there any of council members that would like to comment on the 2 commissioners we have before us today? There being none, we'll make this very easy for the 2 of you, and want to thank you, appreciate your service. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
That's been approved. Thank you very much. We look forward to your service. Thank you.
Very special girl is from Sylmar High School. And could I ask her to give 1 minute time, just a little expression as a youth
Sure,
council?
Tom.
You betcha.
And as you know, when we met earlier, both Tom LaBonge and myself and Ed Reyes are all previous council members.
Well, actually,
youth council.
Of the youth council members.
Youth council members.
I don't want to be previous council.
yeah, actually, I graduated from Sylmar High School. I'm now attending Cal State Northridge. It's my first semester. And basically, you know, I'm an 18-year-old young woman born and raised in LA. I've been serving my community for the past 2 years, and it is an honor to be here. Now, I'm not going to lie. I don't know what to expect. This is all unfamiliar ground to me, but I will make sure that every youth is heard in the city of Los Angeles. Thank you.
Steele, thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. And Commissioner, now you're a commissioner because the vote already took place. Give us a minute of your passion.
I just want to say that it's really a privilege to serve on this commission, and I offer my commitment to making sure that all children have meaningful experiences, that they are mentored and guided, and also that their families are given the support that they need in order to overcome social and economic challenges. Thank you again for this opportunity.
Great, Ms. Sanchez. Thank you very much, Ms. Castillo. Thank you. I know
Thank you.
Alex Padilla was especially proud about both of you, especially you, Ms. Castillo, because you're from the 7th District. Forthwith on this, Madam President. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Thank you, Mr. LaBonge. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Next item is item number 3, and that's a Commerce, Energy, and Natural Resources Committee report has been submitted recommending approval.
Yes, Ms.
I
Hahn.
was hoping to be recognized, but I believe we're going to reconsider item 9, and I think I have the commitment of the councilman to continue that item, so we haven't done it yet.
To continue it. Okay, I think we have to reconsider the item and then continue it. So why don't we go before we have Mr. Rubalcaba?
Why don't we continue it till October?
We have to reconsider it first?
When's the meeting?
So,
Till October.
okay, we have to reconsider it first, and then we'll get the date from you. So, Madam Clerk, call the roll on reconsideration on item number 9. Tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
Okay. And that item is before us. At this point in time, you'd like to continue it, Mr. Villaraigosa?
Yes, till October 12th. There'll be on October 6th neighborhood council meeting, at which point this will be unanimously passed. But October 12th would be the operative date.
October 12th. So that item will be continued until October 12th. Next order of business, Mr. Rubalcaba. Well, thus far, Mr. Commissioner, there are no speakers on our queue. Well, there you go. Mr. LaBonge.
I just want to thank Dominic for his great service. Mayor Bradley, Mayor Reardon, Mayor Hahn have all seen that you can contribute as a commissioner. I think there's no other commissioner who has the experience from the Recreation and Parks, from the harbor, from the port, from the transportation, now water and power. And I think you understand the issues greatly, not just of your particular department, but of the whole city as a whole. If you would just like to express yourself, because there has been a few challenges, if I could say that, up at 111 North Hope Street, and express what you're doing to make sure you're going the right direction. And also, I thank you for the power and the water that comes daily uninterrupted to Los Angeles.
Thank you, Councilman. Yeah, I think you're right. I think there have been a lot of things. DWP has been in the news recently, and not all of it is flattering as hopefully we would like it to have been historically. But I think in all candor, though, the department is doing a good job. The department is meeting its obligations. The department is supplying a reliable, safe supply of drinking water to almost 4 million residents in the middle of a desert at a cost that's, even under the changes that we've made recently, the most efficient possible. We have tried to do so on the other side with a balanced portfolio. We've heard a lot of voices. There's a lot of issues at hand. We need governance, and we need to stay and keep our eye on the ball. And we have great employees at DWP. They've worked very, very hard. They have worked hard to produce a profit at DWP, a surplus that has enabled us to be able to be a supportive member of the city family and make a responsible transfer. And we're hopeful to be able to continue that into the future. Thank you, Councilman.
Well, under your leadership, I want you to continue to focus them to do the job, to bring the power, to bring the water, the high-quality water, the reliable energy, to do that. But also be tough, Dominic. Be tough where you have to. There's an awful lot of great people up there who are dedicated towards the public utility known as the LADWP. And you have had challenges this last year, but I want you to overcome those challenges so that you could continue to do the great job that historically water and power has done for over a century.
And I think in all fairness, I really have to say that I can sit here today and say we made that transfer, but it was decisions that were made by City Council 20 years ago, 15 years ago. It was decisions made by my predecessors on the commission 20 years ago, 25 years ago. It was decisions made by our staff in the past that have put us in the position today to be able to do the things that we're doing and make the contributions that we're doing.
Thank you very much. I recommend an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. LaBonge. We now have Councilmember Zine and then Councilmember Cardenas. Councilmember Zine.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
How are things in Owensmont?
Where?
Owensmont.
Owensmont. Oh, I'm talking, okay, I was thinking of Sturgis, South Dakota.
No,
where I know that you traveled recently, and I tried to hook up with you, and I missed you there.
I made it back.
Yeah, so did I. I wanted to commend you on your dedication, and also your son, who is on Animal Services Commission, and what he's doing to help in that environment. And it's wonderful to see you here getting confirmed again, because I know your dedication and love for the city, and also your son following your footsteps.
Thank you. Someone pointed out that this may be my last time that I ever come before City Council. And
why is that?
Well, at the end of this term, if I fill it out, I will have committed a 30-year span of being a city commissioner, and I was told that my pension would be vested.
Your pension would be vested. You and Cliff.
I have a guaranteed pension of 100% of my lowest year of salary.
Right, of zero.
Right.
100% of zero.
In perpetuity.
In perpetuity. But I know your dedication. I didn't know it was 30 years. I know it's been a number of years. And it's good to see your son following your footsteps. And I congratulate you on what you're doing. You obviously got my support. And it's good to see you back on 2 feet on solid ground.
Thank you, Councilman.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Councilmember Cardenas.
I don't think this discussion is going to be as long as the one we had in committee this morning.
That was very substantive, and I enjoyed the opportunity to address those issues.
I did too, and I think
thank you for the opportunity.
It gave the public an opportunity to see outside of the venue of the board meetings that you are very engaged, you do understand the issues, you are willing to engage in the issues, and I want to personally thank you for all of the years of volunteering that you've given, because this position is something that doesn't pay you financially. It's something that I'm sure you get gratification from, but I'd just like to say that the City of Los Angeles and the constituents are grateful for the dedication that you've given. Let me just give a couple of examples of how important this commission is and your position as president, as we're talking today about a reconfirmation, not about somebody who's going to be new to this particular commission at the Department of Water and Power. For example, there are very important issues such as renewable portfolio standards and what's going to be included or not included in that newer energy and that cleaner energy that we would all like to see happen here. But at the same time, the Department of Water and Power has a responsibility of making sure that they not only have good clean energy, but that we have reliable energy, that we have low-cost energy, or let's not say low-cost, affordable. And that means affordable to who? Is it affordable to the small business, affordable to the large business, affordable to the affluent family, but more importantly, affordable to that low-income family, or perhaps that 80-year-old woman who's living on Social Security, and $5 or $10 in that bill is going to make a grave difference to that particular individual. These are the kinds of things that the board has to contemplate, along with a lot of other internal issues such as contracting, and you have over 8,000 employees at the Department of Water and Power, which is very critical and important that they remain committed and happy, which they are today, and appreciated for all the wonderful work that they do. So in a nutshell, those are the kinds of things that we expressed in the Commerce Committee, of which I chair, earlier this morning when we discussed the issue of what do you bring forward, what have you been doing on the board. I'd just like to ask you one question for the edification of the public. How important are the decisions in the coming months, or perhaps in the next year or two, at the Department of Water and Power? Give us one example of one very large, important decision that we should all be aware of.
Well, the decisions that we make in Water and Power are extremely important. They affect everyone within the City of Los Angeles. As Mr. LaBonge, Councilman LaBonge mentioned, I've had the pleasure of serving on 5 other commissions, and I've had the opportunity to be asked to serve on other commissions where I've not taken those assignments. But I don't think I've ever been on a commission other than DWP where the operation of the department 24/7, day in, day out, affects every resident in the City of Los Angeles. We all look at public safety, and we all know how important public safety is. But if you're not mugged, or if you're not a witness to a crime, you can go a while without dealing with a police officer. If your house is not on fire, you can actually go for a while without dealing with the fire service. Nobody in Los Angeles gets by a day without water and power. So the decisions we make are extremely important. What's interesting, though, is what I said earlier, is that the measure, however, of the validity of our decisions sometimes can't be done today or tomorrow. We'll make a decision at our next board meeting on the 21st in Councilwoman Han's district, and it may have no effect for 5 years Much of what we do has a long horizon. So it is hard sometimes to measure our performance. And I think in the long run, our tenure will not be measured by what's happening in the near future, but 5 and 10 years down the road, such as the leadership that you've taken, Councilman, with regards to renewables, the way in which we implement that, the way in which we integrate that into our balanced portfolio and the mix of generation sources that we have, the way we do so cognizant of that woman that you identified on a fixed income will be a measure. So 2017, 20 years after that, people will look back at our period to see how we carry the mantle of responsibility and leadership.
Thank you, Mr. Rubalcaba, for their example. You're absolutely right. We don't think about the lights, we don't think about the water much because we do take it for granted. And I think the reason why we're able to take it for granted is because of the good job the department has been doing, and that integration between those decisions between the department heads, the management in the Department of Water and Power and the board is very critical, and the relationship between the council and the mayor's office and the rest of the city is critical as well. I'd like to add one little thing to that example you gave. Let there be no mistake, the example you gave is very good. People don't think much about water and power, but when your house is on fire, you sure want the fire department there.
And we don't charge for the water to the fire department.
Okay, that's right. And the fact of the matter is, people might think, well, when I go on vacation, I'm not using my lights or water. Well, ask your plants. If you go on vacation for a couple of weeks and you turn off those sprinklers, your plants are not going to appreciate the fact that you didn't leave that on. My point is, 24/7, 365 days out of the year, leap year or not, the Department of Water and Power is there for us. We have a lot to be thankful for and grateful for, yet at the same time, we need to continue to be critical of each other and making sure that we bring about better policy every single day. I look forward to voting yes on your confirmation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Madam President. First, I want to thank Mr. Rubalcaba for all his work throughout the years for the city. My question is more relative to how we continue working together in our quest to improve the corridor of the Alley River and our need to address the TMDLs and the issues that talk about how we create that, how can I say that, leveraging of the mission of Water and Power while we still have to address the environmental needs and how we use this incredible resource. Can you just give me some perspective and from your point of view, how we can continue working together, given the highlights that we've brought up in the past 2 years?
You know, it's interesting you bring the river up because anyone who's aware of the history of Los Angeles, like Councilman Labange over here is, he knows from history the importance of the river. Right. And if you look at the city charter, I think there are very few properties or assets of the city that are specifically delineated in the charter and mandated as to how they're to be taken care of. And if you look under the provisions, I believe it's 680, committing, starting with DWP, I believe it's the second or the third item mentions the LA River, and it mentions the responsibility of the board vis-a-vis the LA River and our stewardship over that river. It has been the lifeline to Los Angeles historically. And even today, the river and our in-basin sources provide 15 to 18% of our water source to our residents. So it's extremely important. And I know you're focusing in on aesthetics, you're focusing in on compliance with wastewater requirements, and I know you're focusing in on the synergy created from turning that river around and making it an asset. I was in San Antonio recently, and I have to admit, I thought about you as I was walking down Riverwalk. So we're cognizant of what you're doing, and we're supportive of that. And if we can help in any fashion, you know we will.
I look forward to working with you. You know, there's a term called the Zanjeros. The Zanjeros at one time in the history of LA was the most prominent figure above any elected official.
Including the mayor.
Including the mayor. I don't want to say that.
Well, it's the truth.
But bottom line, the Zanjero, I like to see you as our modern day Zanjeros. And I just want to thank you for your hard work.
I can dig it.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes and Mr. Rubalcaba. That being the last speaker on the queue, if we could call the roll, tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
That item's been approved. Thank you, Mr. Rubalcaba.
Next item, Madam.
Yes, Mr. Cardenas.
I'd like to ask that we move item 6 and item number 10 forthwith.
Forthwith.
Thank you.
That'll be the order of the day. I know we have a lot of people on item 48, which we're going to go to momentarily. Mr. Zine, I know, had called that special, but we have item number 4, which is our new city librarian, and Mr. Zine said that would be quick. So we will ask our new appointment, Fontaine Holmes, as the city librarian, to come to the table here. Colleagues were very, well, they all came up here. Councilmember Labange, you are first on the queue, followed by Mr. Zine, Mr. Reyes, and Mr. Smith.
Thank you very much. I'll be brief because Fontaine Holmes, as in the great tradition of our library department, has truly served this city well for many years. Madam President, she was in committee this morning, and I asked her to make a statement in council since it was going to be at the same time. So if I could share my time with Ms. Holmes, she could make her statement as the mayor's selection, a great selection, to lead the Los Angeles Public Library System.
Thank you, Councilman Labange. Good morning, council members. I want to thank Mayor Hahn for the opportunity to manage an outstanding city department and lead the Los Angeles Public Library. I come to this position with great advantage. The advantage is a strong, vital, dynamic library system. Public libraries across the country look to Los Angeles Public Library as the model of innovation. In the past 14 years, we are completing the largest public library building program in the nation. We have renovated and expanded the Central Library and built 61 new libraries across this city. Our technology infrastructure is unmatched by none. We are the community agency that is bridging the digital divide in Los Angeles. We have 3,000 computers. Our libraries are open 6 and 7 days a week to help students succeed, to help people find jobs, to provide information to everyone. And I look forward to dynamic changes in this library system. We have a great staff. We have great support from the Board of Library Commissioners, from the mayor, from council, and very importantly, from people in every community in this city. We have conducted 250 community meetings in the past several years, and at community meetings all over this city, at our branch libraries, at Central Library, we hear one thing from the people of Los Angeles. They love and support their libraries. The libraries are the heart of every community. And I look forward to expanding services and managing the resources so that we can be continually effective for this public. Thank you.
Madam President, I just wanted to say this is a great appointment, and I like how you covered all the bases of your support of your commission. But especially the librarians and the support staff, the teamwork that goes on there, the relationship that you particularly have developed with the other city family and the Bureau of Engineering and other city departments as it relates to the building program. You really championed that, Fontaine, and I know that Susan Kent, our previous librarian, was very proud of you as the assistant librarian, and now I think she's going to be proud of you as the city librarian. Members, last night on my way home about 6:30, 6:35, I went through beautiful Echo Park and turned up by the bright spot there by Tays, hung a left and pulled over and found a parking spot right in front of the new Edendale Library, the 70th community library in the city of Los Angeles. And members, when I walked into that library, if you ever want to get charged, walk into a public library any time, night or day. There are young and old alike learning, reading. Information is knowledge is power. And I love the Department of Water and Power, and the Water and Power is a great, powerful agency, but the most personally powerful agency in the city of Los Angeles is our public library system for the information and the knowledge that they provide to the people of this city. It was so exciting. I'm sorry Mr. Garcetti has stepped out of the room because it was his district where this took place. He was there for the great giant celebration, but what a great job you and the others have done. Madam President, I just wanted to stand tall, and I also wanted to pull out my great library card and show that the importance, where's yours, Fontaine, right there, get that shot right there. Everybody in this chamber should have a library card. Let's salute the library department, and under the new leader, Fontaine Holmes. I thank you. Madam President, if you don't stop me now, I'll keep talking about Cahuenga Branch Library, where I first learned to read. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. LaBonge.
Can I tell one library story before confirmation?
Sure.
Just
Well,
real
actually,
short.
we have several other people who want to speak. So,
all right.
yes, before we finish, we'll let you talk at the end. Councilmember Zine, and again, colleagues, we have 10 members. No one's going to leave yet, but brevity is probably appreciated, not that we don't want to disrespect you, Ms. Holmes.
Of course.
Mr. Zine? You're on the queue.
Thank you. Fontaine, I know you've got a lot of experience. I know that you were the silent voice who helped build the system that we have in place for the many years, on time, below budget. And I know that the libraries that we have in my district, everybody's very, very pleased with. I've seen you at many groundbreakings and many of the ribbon cuttings. So I just wish you continued success. You've obviously demonstrated your ability to put those programs together, and your dedication to the city is reflected in the many years of service, and it's appropriate that you assume that position, and the mayor was accurate in appointing you as the general manager, making that recommendation, and you definitely have my continued support, as you've had in the past, for all the wonderful work you've done. And with Susan going down to New York, we know she did a wonderful job, but she had a wonderful staff behind her, and I know you'll have that same staff behind you supporting you. So congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Zine. Councilmember Reyes.
I just want to rise and say thank you. The work we did in Pico Union off of Alvarado and Olympic is tremendous. It is such a difference for so many families. I can't even begin to count the ways in which it's improved that quality of life. Chinatown, I hear, is probably the third most used library in the city, the Chinatown Library. And the other libraries that emerged under then Councilman Hernandez as a planner, I had the honor and pleasure of working with you in that capacity. And now as the head librarian, I look forward to working with you, and I just want to congratulate you. It's well-deserving. I'm glad we're not losing that institutional knowledge and the incredible sensitivity you demonstrated to all the communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to make it short because I know we are in danger of losing a quorum, but I had to stand up and say congratulations to Mayor Jim Hahn, first of all, for his appointment of Fontaine Holmes, because I think it's one of the best appointments I've seen come out of the mayor. You've been there for a long time, and I've worked with you over many, many years and enjoyed working with you. You're always straightforward, give me the answers I want to hear, as well as give me the answers I need to hear. And I've really appreciated that sincerity. But more importantly, we have one of the finest library systems in America, and we've built that system over the last couple of decades with Fontaine Holmes being the right-hand person with Susan Kent to make sure all those things got done and all those projects going on and all the districts got built on time, ahead of schedule, and under budget. And I congratulate you as the person who really oversaw that program and really had a major role in making LA one of the greatest library systems in America. I can't think of anybody in this country that can do a better job than Fontaine Holmes. So congratulations. I'm just delighted to see you get that job.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Councilmember Ludlow.
Thank you, Madam President. The first thing that I wanted to do was display my library card. Where's Tom LaBonge? Tom? All right, I just wanted to show you. I got my card. And secondly, just to, on behalf of all of the library employees who are here today and are listening to us, this is really a great day in LA. I've heard nothing but great things about you and your work, and not the least of which is what Councilmember Smith just mentioned. I last night just had an opportunity to celebrate the retirement of friend of the Vassie Wright Library. Friends held a great reception last night for Ralph Gilmer, and I know he's out there listening to us today. But this library system has become, I think, one of the finest in the world. So many children in my district. I'm just amazed when I go in on a Saturday and I see the rooms just packed with kids who are excited, who are learning, are taking advantage of everything that you all have done to make these libraries so immaculate. In putting it mildly, they're clean, They're efficient, they're professional, they're colorful, and they are a real tribute to the greatness that the city can be. And so we're looking forward to you taking on this post, hoping that you remember the 10th District loves their libraries. 10th District loves their libraries, and we're so excited about working with you. And I also congratulate the mayor on a wise selection, and best of luck, and look forward to helping you in any way that I can.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ludlow. Fontaine, it's obvious that you have tremendous support around this horseshoe. Not only does Council 10, but Council District 2 and every other council district love our library. So if that being then, did you want to say something before we vote?
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you again, and that truly libraries transform communities and are at the heart of every community. And I just want to tell a real brief library history story. The third city librarian was Mary Foy from 1880 to 1884. And when the position became open, the mayor lived next door to Mary Foy. And Mary went over to talk to him one morning. And by that night, she had walked all over Los Angeles and talked to all of 15 of the city councilmen. She said that her feet hurt, but she got the job. So I want to thank you all for saving me the work of walking all over Los Angeles and for confirming this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fontaine. With that, Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
That item is approved. Congratulations, Ms. Holmes. Forthwith, Mr. Zine has agreed to let Ms. Hahn so briefly give her presentation, and then we will take Mr. Zine in public comment.
Thank you, colleagues. I just wanted to take up item 8, which is a memorandum of agreement between LAPD and the Harbor Department and the Port Police. And I just wanted to briefly have you all tell this council what this means, and particularly, can you tell me how this is going to enhance port security in and around the harbor area? And then I'll be done.
I'm Captain Ralph Tracy from the Port Police. We've entered into a memorandum of agreement with the approval of this body with LAPD to provide air support services over the Port of Los Angeles on an as-needed basis. This will provide a much-needed air unit for a platform for our officers and LAPD officers to monitor port security issues throughout the Port of Los Angeles, and it'll allow us to accrue about 350 hours or so of air service. But more importantly, it'll also provide an air unit that will be available to the areas of Wilmington, Harbor City, and San Pedro on an as-needed basis should the need arise. This is a first time that we've done something like this, and we need the approval so that we have a mechanism to pay for it.
Thank you. Did you want to add to that?
Only that LAPD and specifically Air Support Division looks forward to continuing the relationship we have with the Harbor Department and the Port Police, and we think it'll bring an enhanced level of security to the city of Los Angeles, specifically the port areas.
Thank you. Colleagues, I want your support on this, and I just wanted to take the opportunity to highlight this good partnership between LAPD and the Port Police, and ultimately we're going to get better security in and around the harbor area. And as you know, I never feel like we're doing enough in terms of port security. We never have the dollars I think we need to really, truly protect the economic engine of this region, which is the Port of Los Angeles. But I do believe agreements like this between these two departments really will go a long way to provide the security that we need, and also to send a message to the federal government that in fact we are being creative, we are coming up with ways to enhance security in and around the harbor area. So I just wanted to highlight this, thank both departments for coming up with this agreement. I think ultimately the residents around the harbor will feel safer. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hahn. With that presentation, if we could, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Smith, I apologize.
Just briefly, thank you, Janice, for bringing it. I was down at the harbor about a month ago with Bob Henry. We were looking at the harbor and the security concerns from the ground level. About 2 weeks ago, I went up with Air Support Division, and what an totally different viewpoint you get of the harbor. And the Air Support is such a great asset to the city of LA, but I'm really glad that you've done this, because having viewed it from both down on the water level as well as from the air, what a totally different ability you have to police. And I'm glad to see this agreement, because I think it will make our port so much safer, and I thank you for doing that. Thank the department.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. LaBonge.
No, thank you very much, each and every one of you on that, and especially air support. I want to thank you. Lieutenant Smith, you've been a long-time member of the police department, and the innovation that you've had individually and also all at air support. This is wonderful. What I like, Janice, look at those departments working together to solve a problem. And we thank the Port Police. Please give my regards to Chief Cunningham, and Captain, good to see you. Thank you very much. Forthwith on that.
Thank you, Mr. Bond. We now have Mr. Ludlow.
Just briefly wanted to thank Councilmember Hahn for her leadership, and to thank the departments for what you're doing. We're constantly looking at the frightening images around the world, and to see this type of agreement being brought forward is just a good example of the kind of partnerships that need to happen. On a very, very light note, are you monitoring the status of the Saturn blimp?
We are.
Just wanted to know where they are now. They're trying to make 24 hours nonstop aerial flight. What does that mean to your department in the future of aerial photos?
We think the pilot's asleep. That's what we think.
They actually say that they believe that this may advance our ability, and is that something that you have any faith in? Is something that you all are looking at?
Well, we're anxiously waiting the results of that test.
Well said.
Thank you very much. That being the order of the business today, Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll? Tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
That item's been approved. Thank you, Ms. Hahn. Now we have before us item number 48. I'll recognize Mr. Zine. And Mr. Zine, you know we have numerous cards here, and like to ask your direction as we move forward on this item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What I'd like to do is bring staff forward and have a few representatives. I think they've already been identified. If I could just have the folks in the chambers who are here for this item on the deferred comp plan, please stand and be recognized so we'll know how many people here showing interest in this matter. So we see the room is absolutely only a couple people sitting. Okay, thank you very much. Oh, we have the clerk's officer standing too.
Thank you, Mr. Lang.
We have two representatives. If you identify yourself, please, and I'll ask some questions and then we can go through this.
Sure. I'm Mary Ann Keene from the Personnel Department, and with me is Stephen Montagna from the Personnel Department.
And the asserting jurisdiction, which isn't used that often, it's what I've asked to assert jurisdiction, send it to Personnel Committee. The City of Los Angeles has a deferred comp plan where employees can contribute, no cost to the taxpayers, no cost to the city, they pay for the plan. And the plan has been administered by Great West, has $1.8 billion, that's B billion dollars in assets. There are 7 representatives that make decisions. The board of deferred compensation. They made a decision recently to switch from Great West to another firm, Nationwide, and to administer the deferred comp plan through Nationwide. The 5-year contract, when it was up for renewal, went before an independent review, independent consultant, and Personnel Department. And both of those reviews stated that it should remain with Great West, since they were not unhappy, since they were pleased with the service and the fees, etc. The Board of Deferred Compensation, however, and it wasn't a unanimous vote, decided to switch to Nationwide. Now my office, as well as I'm sure my colleagues' offices, have been flooded with emails and phone calls regarding this issue. The concern that the people have expressed is an increase in fees, and the increase in fees would be, I understand, approximately 25%, and an additional $2 million in additional fees to the members, the city family that are involved in the deferred compensation plan. And the fees are based upon how much money you have in the plan. Now, as I understand, Nationwide is stating that for the additional fee, they will provide advice to the members. Whether they want it or not, it will be part of the program, and approximately 6 to 15% of the members ask for that advice, and it's like talking to a stockbroker. They don't have a magic wand. They can't tell you where it's going to go, but they can give you some information, and everyone, even 6 to 15% paying for it, everyone would be paying for it, for the 6 to 15% that are going to be utilizing that. The concern I have is that this be reviewed and taken jurisdiction, send to Personnel Committee. We could hash it out and find out, does Great West give good service? Do you get complaints about Great West service? Are Great West fees acceptable to the members in the deferred comp plan? Or have there been problems? Have there been people upset? Is Great West not not administering it properly? Are they not performing the function that we asked them to perform? And with the RFP that went out and with the two committees, the independent review and the personnel department stating that Great West should remain the provider for that service, the spin that this was sent to the Nationwide firm, not saying Nationwide is a bad firm, no, but the people that are involved in it, that they pay the fees, are very upset that they're going to have to pay more fees for a service that they don't wish, that they don't need. And I have never received a complaint about Great West Service.
Nor have we.
And I've asked the city attorney if I need to recuse myself because I'm a member like a number of city employees involved in the deferred comp plan. They said I did not have to recuse myself because probably many people in the city of Los Angeles are members of that plan.
And Mr. Zine, you're about a minute over. I know you're trying to set the tone, so if we could.
And I don't want to belabor the point. I think that all we're asking today is to assert jurisdiction, send it to Personnel Committee, and have the CAO prepare a review of the RFP process and come to a meeting that we have scheduled, because we're in a time frame, we're in a very short time frame to get this matter accomplished. And I'm going to ask you to add any further comments that I haven't covered. And Steve, anything you have to say regarding it?
All I have to add is that given a plan our size, we expected a slight decrease when we went out to RFP. The board had two options. One was a slight decrease, one was a significant increase. We would just ask the council to support the motion and let this be hashed out in Personnel Committee.
Thank you. Steve, any comments from you? Madam President, we have a number of cards, and I think some people have been identified to speak at the microphone.
Yes, it was my understanding you wanted to have a 5-minute, was
yes.
that it, a 5-minute
yes.
public testimony?
Yes.
Okay. If we could, then we will open up the public comment period. I do have a number of cards. I don't know, again, if these are the individuals that have been identified, Mr. Zine, but I think the first speaker is Cliff Ruff. The next is Diana Britt, Ron Samuels, and Judith O'Connor, the first four. And if you would come up subsequently.
Hi, I'm Cliff Ruff. I represent the 6,900 LA police officers that are members of the Deferred Compensation Program. We're the largest entity in the city in deferred comp. We're upset that this is going to change and charge people $400,000 a year for nothing. Their system is requiring members to subsidize a program that only 10% of the people are going to use, and that's not proper. This is a $400,000 per year, or over 5 years, a $2 million windfall for Nationwide. We sent a letter to the board saying, if the system didn't offer lower fees or significant improved benefits, why are we changing? We shouldn't change for change's sake. There's a conflict in that in the Nationwide website, they articulate that they're going to give a kickback to the IAFF for all monies raised. But more important, the labor representative on the board did not vote the wish of the labor unions in this city, which wanted to keep the contract with Great West. So we didn't have proper representation on the board. The vote is skewed, and we would ask that the council approve this motion and send it back for reconsideration and assert jurisdiction over this. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Britt.
Good afternoon. My name is Diana Britt. I'm retired from the City of Los Angeles about 5 years ago after 31 years of service to the Personnel Department and the City Attorney's Office. Before I make my personal remarks, I wanted to point out that even though there was a great show of people who are here to speak on this item, many of the people who put in cards and came for this presentation have had to go back to their jobs, like us retired people. Since I came to work for the city in 1969, I can't pretend to remember every bit of my initial orientation, but I do remember quite clearly being told that the city operated on the Caesar's wife principle, a quaint and old-fashioned notion that's intended to convey that not only must public servants do right, but they must be seen to be doing right. It appears to me that Caesar's wife needs a job on the Board of Deferred Compensation Administration, and to that end, I urge this council to pass the motion before it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ron Samuels and then Judith O'Connor. Mr. Samuels is not here. Judith O'Connor. You, Mr. Samuels?
Yes, President Gruhl and honorable members. I'm Ron Samuels. I'm a retired employee of the Personnel Department for 33 years. And my concern is that the Board of Deferred Compensation went against staff's recommendation, the recommendation of a well-respected consultant in this issue, and also apparently against its own guidelines in terms of not committing to not raise fees if a service for consulting for the employees were offered. Thank you.
Thank you. After Ms. O'Connor, who is coming to the podium, we have Cheryl Moore, Debbie Kindred, and Bob Aquino.
Good afternoon. I'm Judith O'Connor, and I'm a current employee with the city working with the Department of Transportation. I have been a member of the Deferred Compensation Plan for 15 years and have been very happy and pleased with Great West. I also represent here many of my co-workers in the Department of Transportation who could not attend and who follow and support everything you've heard so far from the previous speakers. My main concern is, as members of the Deferred Compensation Plan, we do not have much of a say in what the board does. We have to rely on their judgment and trust them. The board will say that they have the right to make whatever decisions they please, and that's true. But in addition to having that legal right, I believe they also have a moral and ethical responsibility to the members, and to not vote in an increase in fees without first notifying the members at least, and then getting their opinion. I urge the committee to go forward and place the matter before the Personnel Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Cheryl Moore, followed by Debbie Kindred and Bob Aquino.
Good morning. My name is Cheryl Moore, and I've been a member of, been with the City of Los Angeles for over 27 years. I come to you and I represent AFSCME Local 3090, which is 5,000 members strong. A majority of our members are outraged at this.
Madam President, could you speak a little closer to the microphone?
Okay, the majority of our members are outraged at this change that has taken place, and that's going to increase our fees for services that we have not had no knowledge of, and we have not been able to see what they're offering us. So I'm saying to this council today to reconsider this action on behalf of my members, which is 5,000 members strong, who are still contributing to this. Who are still contributing to this fund. Please reconsider this motion and allow the Personnel Department to work out the situation for Local 3090 members, 5,000 strong. Thank you.
Thank you. Debbie Kindred.
Good morning. My name is Debbie Kindred, and I'm the president of AFSCME Local 3672. I represent 110 executive secretaries, all of whom are very articulate, intelligent, and vocal when it comes to issues like this. I've been inundated with comments in opposition of the change in plan. The great majority of my members are very, very satisfied with Great West. They have a lot of money invested, and they do not want the administration of this plan to be changed. So I urge you to send it where it needs to go for further consideration and not to give the contract. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Aquino.
Who was that?
That was Bob Aquino.
Bob Aquino? You heard your name.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, council members. I rise in support of this motion. We represent over 7,500 city employees at EAA. Our employees actually like Great Western as the administrator, and in fact see no reason to change. And in fact, we're also concerned with the methodology in this change without going into detail. So we do support the motion, and we would appreciate if the council also supports it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, we've gone over the 5 minutes. I do want to read the additional names of individuals who submitted cards. Stephen Pressburg, Melinda Mariano, Charles Conyers, John Pattison, John Hill, Tom Whalen, and Holly Wolcott, and appreciate them being here today. Mr. Zine.
Thank you, Madam President, and I appreciate all of you folks that have been here and spent the time from 10 o'clock till this moment. What I would ask my colleagues to do is to assert jurisdiction on this matter, and we will refer this to Personnel Committee. We will return to Council by October 5th, and I would also ask in this matter that the CAO prepare a review of the RFP process and the administrative code provisions pertaining to deferred compensation and present it to a special Personnel Committee meeting, which we will have on September 29th here in Council chambers. And we would invite the city employees that are interested to appear on September 29th. We have a time frame, and we have to have this completed sometime by October 5th. So that would be my request: assert jurisdiction, have the CAO prepare that document, and take it to Personnel Committee on September 29th, and we will have a return by October 5th.
Thank you, Mr. Zine. Individuals that are present and that did submit cards, just know that you will have the opportunity to be able to also speak potentially at the Personnel Committee as well as when it comes back to the City Council.
Yeah, if I can just add,
Yes.
if I can just add to those in the audience that what we're asking today is that the order from the Deferred Comp Board be set aside, that the matter go before a full hearing of the Personnel Committee, and it will be decided at that Personnel Committee. We're not here to debate the issues today. We're just here to assert jurisdiction to rescind what the Board of Deferred Comp has recommended in the change to nationwide. So this is not the full hearing. This is simply to assert jurisdiction. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zine. We have Mr. Ludlow and Mr. Reyes on the queue. Madam Clerk, I know that we will be taking two votes on this item, one to assert jurisdiction and then to vote on the motion before us.
And correct, to refer that to committee.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam President. First, let me just say that I know throughout the halls of this building and throughout the halls of many buildings that the city represents, city workers sometimes look at this horseshoe and ask, what's going on up there? And all I can say is that you all have done an amazing job of speaking up, speaking loudly, and both Councilmember Zine and Smith heard you loudly and clearly introduce this motion. I think it's time for the City Council to listen to the city workers. And I also think it's time, and I think it's goes without saying that people in my district, which have been hearing about this, they've been reading about it, they appreciate all the work that you all do to take care of the city, and people in my district have spoken loudly and clearly. We ought to assert this and assert anything else we can to support our workers who do such a great job out on the streets and in the halls of the city. So I rise in full support, and good luck with this. I can't wait till we bring it back and actually get the thing finally done. But I'm with you, Councilmember Zines and Smith. Thank you for your work on this item.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted, for the sake of clarity, we're going to be incorporating the information that was brought forward to the commission that promoted this decision. Are we going to be collapsing that recommendation with the CEO's report that you're asking for, Mr. Zine?
The whole matter before the Personnel Committee to set aside
Going to fold it all in?
Yes, to fold it all together.
Just want to make sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. I want to echo both Mr. Zine and Mr. Ludlow's comments about the activism and voice that we've heard in the last couple of weeks. So with there not being any other speakers on the queue, Madam Clerk, could you have the items before us, please?
The first vote would be to assert jurisdiction.
Okay. Please take the roll. Tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
Thank you.
And then the second vote would be to refer the matter to Personnel Committee.
Okay, call the roll. Tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, any items we have left on the...
Council has the public comment on items not scheduled on the Council's agenda.
have one card for public comment, Irene Kasmer. I don't see Irene present at the moment, so we will deem the public comment period closed.
The next item, Madam President, Council has motions for posting and referral.
Those will be posted and referred.
And there are excuses on the desk. Councilmember Grue requests to be excused. City business, September 21st, 22nd, and 24th, and those meet council policy.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That's for jury duty. So I'll have Mr. Villaraigosa moves and Mr. Labange seconds.
The next request is Mr. Parks for Tuesday, September 21st for city business. That also meets council policy.
Mr. Reyes and Ms. Hahn moved and second that item.
And also Council President Padilla for Tuesday, September 21st. A motion is required on that one.
Okay. We'll have Mr. Smith moves that with Mr. Reyes seconding.
And that clears the desk, Madam President.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Colleagues, now is our opportunity for announcements. Do we have any announcements, colleagues, today? Mr. Ludlow.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to remind the public that United Neighbors Neighborhood Council Planning and Zoning Committee will be hosting an evening stroll on Wednesday, tomorrow, and starts at 31st Street and Prescott Court. Catch this, the West Adams Heritage Association and UNC presents a stroll through Jefferson Park, including a brochure and map detailing the rich cultural history of the neighborhood. An espresso coffee cart will be placed at the corner of 31st and Prescott Court, and the coffee is free for the first 50 people who show up. Councilman Smith and others are welcome to and encouraged to come. Committee members should depart for South Seas House in time for 7:30 meeting. Come out, meet friends, and meet neighbors. Also want to encourage everybody to come out to the Korean Festival Parade this weekend. It is always a great, great experience, a great time for the city, and a source of great pride for all Angelenos. So a lot of things happening this week and this weekend, and also want to take a personal note of pleasure to thank Councilman Cardenas for the humanitarian efforts that he keeps showing, and today is another example of that, and really appreciated all the people brought in to recognize Deaf Awareness Month.
Thank you, Mr. Ludlow. Mr. Cardenas.
Thank you. Announcement. Speaking of Deaf Awareness Month, I just want to remind everybody that we're having the festival at the Sepulveda Basin on Woodley and Victory, and it's from 12 to 6 this coming Saturday, the 18th. And if you want more information, you can call 213-473-7006. That's where you can voice, and the TTY phone number is 213-473-5990. And a couple of added guests to the schedule is going to, Mel Carter is going to be the master of ceremonies, and also Shazia Siddiqui, Miss Deaf California, is going to be there as well, and many, many other celebrities. So we look forward to seeing all of us Angelenos and beyond there, and this is going to be an annual event, and it's going to be wonderful. Hopefully it'll cool down this weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cardenas. I recognize Mr. Smith.
Yes, I believe, Mr. Ludlow, didn't we have another very important announcement to make here? Is there a new voter coming in the 10th district very shortly?
Go ahead.
Well, Mr. Ludlow has been very hard at work, not just for his constituents, but on behalf of the Ludlow family, and is proud to announce that he and his wife are expecting their first child. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Any other announcements? Okay, now's our time for adjourning motions. Do we have any adjourning motions today? Colleagues?
Members, I'd like to ask...
wait, Mr. Labange, let's wait till we actually have everyone stand. Could we ask everyone in the audience to please stand for adjourning motions? Thank you. Mr. Labange.
Members, I'd like to ask that we adjourn in memory of Janine Francisco, who lived in the Los Feliz district. For over 40 years, she worked for the Peterson Publishing Company and lived a wonderful life. Unfortunately, 6 years ago, she was stricken with a stroke and had to live in a rest home for 6 years. But finally, the long call came, and Janine Francisco went directly to heaven. She was one of 11 children. She was very inspirational to me because she was my aunt who had no children, but she certainly was part of our family and our life. her husband. She's survived by her husband, Don Francisco, was one of the original writers for Hot Rod magazine and a hot rod enthusiast extraordinaire. I ask that we adjourn in memory of Janine Francisco.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. Any other adjourning motions today? If not, Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Council's adjourned. Thank you.